What's up? What is up? Great morning. Happy Monday to all of you guys that are tuning in. I feel like it has been forever and a day since I have done a daily manna. But nevertheless, we are back up and running. I feel like it has been a season for me where when it revolved around daily manners, I had to kind of just pick and choose. Concern. I had to pick and choose what I had time for, and daily manners, unfortunately, were one of those things that I just didn't have as much time as I would have liked to have. It's been a lot of new things that have been happening in this season, but I am definitely grateful to be back as always. As you guys are tuning in, as you can see, we are in a different location. But as you guys are tuning in, go ahead and tell God thank you and tell us one thing that you are grateful for. If you are catching this thing on the replay, do me a favor and go ahead and hashtag replay crew in the comments. Make sure that you guys are thumbs upping this video. I will say that for me, like, I am just so very grateful for God's guidance today. And I'm so very grateful for the grace that God gives us as He is guiding us and as He is leading us. Today's daily manna is not going to be a long and drawn out daily manna. It's going to be clear, concise, and basically to the point. So as you guys can see by the title, to the topic of today's daily manna, I'm getting tongue tied. The topic of today's daily manna is don't be overwhelmed. I feel like whenever we're talking about life in general, it ain't even just about a hey Kaylee. It ain't even just about, a season of waiting. I feel like in general, faith will bring us to a place where when we are not operating from a place of faith, we are automatically overwhelmed. I'm gonna say that again. When we are not operating from a place of faith, we will always be automatically overwhelmed with the details, overwhelmed with, the future, overwhelmed when it revolves around our past and making sure that our past does not replay itself in our future. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. I'm going to say it again. When you are not operating from a place of faith, you will always be overwhelmed. I feel like this weekend for me was a very interesting weekend. It was a weekend where something that I've been waiting for finally happened, and it was just honestly about having all of the spaces in the house. And it's like the moment that I got to a space or to a place where I had everything that I needed, it was almost as if I started to feel overwhelmed and worked up. What's going on, y'all? And so this morning I woke up, and I don't know y'all have ever like experienced like feeling like, something finally happens and you just feel overwhelmed. You feel so overloaded and overwhelmed that you kind of don't know where to start. And so like for me, that's kind of like where I've been this morning, like not knowing where to start and feeling anxious, feeling, a touch of feeling overstimulated. And so this morning I woke up and, I was asking God about a certain thing and, asking, what do I do first? What about this? What about this? And honestly, I'm going to just say this. My prayers felt a lot like I was rambling. Yeah. My prayers felt a lot like I was rambling. And what I've learned is that whenever you're praying and talking to God, or just entering into like communion and devotion with God, like whenever you get to a point where your prayers start to feel like you're rambling, meaning you saying a whole lot of stuff, but it feels like you having a hard time hearing, that is a telltale sign that like you have slowly not only from the will of God, but it's a sign that you've started to, step over into the role of playing God for yourself. I say that because I feel like in life there are two parts, right? There's the role that we play, and then there's the role that God plays. I feel like when we talk about, getting overwhelmed, being overwhelmed is a sign that you have taken on God's responsibilities. And the reason why we get overwhelmed is because we simply don't have all the details. And so a lot of times with not having the details, our fears will kind of do what I call filling in the blanks. And so then you have to deal with, Roman thoughts. You may have to, deal with, your heart beating a million miles an hour. You may have that lingering, what I call that lingering, how do you say that, Lord? That lingering, pressure. The pressure that you feel when you wake up and it's like, ooh, it ain't full blown anxiety, but it's just literally just a heaviness that you feel. And so this morning Well, yesterday I had been asking God, what do you want me to do? What about the garage? What about this? What about this? Well, I got a pressure wash. I got all these different things that I feel I had to do in so little time. And my issue was, feeling like I just don't know where to start. Anybody else been feeling that way, where you feel like you got so much you believe in God for, so much that you got to get done, and it's just literally like, God, is so much, so little time, and I just simply don't know what to do. And maybe it may not be, things that you have to do. It may just be things that you are actually believing God for, and it's kind of like, God, I don't which area to apply myself, which area, that's Bo, which area to hold on, y'all, I gotta let this baby out. Give me a second. He should have just came on out when I came up here. Come on out. My God, you disrupting the broadcast. All I heard was some little paws on the door. But sorry y'all. But I feel like, a lot of times we battle with that, and people really don't talk about those moments where you are overwhelmed, and it's not, because of warfare. It's just simply you got so many different areas you need to see a move of God in. You got so many different things, or answers that you're waiting for God to answer, and just not knowing where to start. And so you get so overwhelmed that you end up doing nothing. And so this morning was one of those mornings where I woke up and I felt really, really great. I felt like I was well rested. I felt like God had given me clarity. But when, oh man, he is the boss. But don't say that too much now. But then it's like when I got to the point of, really just thinking about the day, I started to feel anxious. I'm like, God, how can I have joy and feel anxious at the same time? And one thing, I'm gonna open my notes because I want to tell you guys what the Lord told me, because it really and truly blessed me. But I asked God, I said, how do I have joy and I still feel, overwhelmed? And so God began to like break down the different areas that like I've been overwhelmed about. And one of the things that he told me was this. He said, what it's not time for, you don't need to worry about. You don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to feel like, a chicken with your head cut off. You don't want to feel like, like you can't hear me. He simply said, what it is not time for, you should not be worrying about. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say it again for the one time. What it's not time for, you should not be worrying about. And for me, that meant, okay, the garage, okay, it's still some stuff in the garage that the last little bit of the stuff is getting moved today. I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to worry about putting together nothing. I don't need to worry about any of that. I was worried about something else. And it's like, pressure washing. God is like, why would you pressure wash, 2 weeks before it's time for like you to have that family gathering? So it's just been little things over and over and over again. And God just breaking it down. Okay, you worried about this. Is it really time for this? Like taking a step outside of, time and what I feel I had to do, and honestly chasing perfection. It's like, I'm gonna say it again. He said, whatever it is not time for, the key to not being overwhelmed in life is whatever it is not time for, you should not be worried about, which means you shouldn't be thinking about it. You shouldn't be preparing for it. You shouldn't be, you shouldn't be asking God about it. You should just be letting it be what it, letting it be what it is. Come on. I'm going to say it again. You should be letting it be what it is. Because think about what happens when we are overwhelmed and when we are worked up and we're trying to force an answer out of God, and when we're trying to strain to hear what God is saying, or when we're trying to nothing ever comes from it. Nothing ever comes from it. We waste a whole lot of energy and we don't go anywhere. We don't see any progress. I feel like a part of faith is, moderators, please do what y'all do best. I feel like a part of faith, please, Bo, just come on if you're coming. I'm broadcasting. I feel like a part of faith looks like, being able to honestly discern when it is time for something and when it's not. And that's an entirely different word in itself. Being able to discern God's timing, being mature enough to recognize what God's timing is, and being receptive and being open to the fact that sometimes it just ain't time for like what we feel it should be time for. And so, that is, where I am with today's daily manna. Whatever it's not time for, you should not worry about. That is really in a way the key to not being overwhelmed. And I'm gonna say this: if you can master the timing of God in your life, you can all you it's like you can maintain an abundance of the fruit of the spirit. I'm gonna say it again. If you can, master the timing of God, you'll always live in a place of answered prayer. But two, while you're waiting on God, you will always have an abundance of the fruit of the spirit. And so, that is today's daily manna. Don't be overwhelmed this week. Don't be overwhelmed this month. Even I want to encourage those of you guys that are watching to get to a place where you are actively lay down, where you are actively discerning, what is time for, some of the things you're going to God and praying about, some of the things that you're pressing for. And I'm going to just say this: anxiety is a sign that you need to stop. That's for those of y'all that's like, how do I know? Anxiety is a sign that you need to stop. It's a sign that you need to like sit still. Anxiety is a sign that you are going in the wrong direction. You may have the wrong timing. So if you are praying about something and you feel like you are anxious, or you feel like you're having a hard time hearing what God is saying, that is your telltale sign that it may not be time for you to like do the for God to deal with that area. And if you allow yourself to sit in that place when you know that it's not time for something, guess what? You are out of alignment, and the devil is going to start to attack you. Point blank period. And so, that is today's daily manna. Don't be overwhelmed. Sit down today. I encourage you in your time, in your spare time, sit and journal. Write a list of the things like you believe in God for. Write a list of the things that you've been anxious about, and then go and just act and just take inventory of your own emotions. And do I feel like it's a strain to like see God move in this area? Do I feel like it's a strain to hear what God is saying? Do I feel, I'm gonna just say this: when you can get to a place where you take inventory of how you feel, you're putting yourself in a position to understand God and to really hear God in a way that maybe you've not heard him before. And so that is today's daily manna. If it has blessed you, can you do me a favor and just simply tell God thank you? If you have not already thumbs up this video, please be sure that you are thumbs upping these videos. If you catching it on the replay, go ahead and hashtag replay crew. To those of you guys that do feel led to sow, the ways to sow or donate into any word, it is in the description of every single video. Whatever you sow is between you and God. You can sow $1, you can sow $5, whatever it is. Today's seed title is "Don't Be Overwhelmed." At the moment, we are about to trickle over and go over to TikTok. And so if you would like to join us there over on TikTok, I welcome you to join us there. ThoughtsbyT is the name. Listen, it is a blessing to be back here doing the daily manners. We gonna try to keep them up. I'm gonna try to balance my schedule as best as I can. But I'm so glad to be back. I love y'all. I am rooting for y'all. And so until next time, y'all. Peace.